So we will move into the seed quality report update, and I'd like to introduce Sandy Junik. Sandy is the molecular lab manager with Discovery Seed Labs. So I will welcome up Sandy at this time.
Hello, everyone. So as it says there, my name is Sandy. I am one of the partners and the molecular lab manager with Discovery Seed Labs in town. And they asked me here to provide kind of a seed quality update on what we're seeing in the lab this year. So we'll get into it. Oh, sorry. While we're waiting for the presentation to load, I'd just like to say that it's nice to be back in person. It's great to see so many familiar faces in the room. It was awesome to get to chat with you guys yesterday in the hospitality suite and all those who stopped by the booth at Crop Production Show. This has been a really good year. Nice to get back to normal with that. So. Okay, here we go. Perfect. So, as that first slide says, what we're seeing in the lab is like this year, everything's pretty good. It's nice. I don't have a lot of bad news to deliver, which is always good. Everything so far is looking like you're going to be set up really well for spring 2023. So because there was rain this year in most of the province, we are seeing the disease levels come back up on both the cereal and the pulse crops, definitely higher than they were last year, but everything is still at a nice manageable level from what we're seeing. So as far as our fusarium testing goes, again, we always break it out into the Fusarium graminearum and then the total fusarium. So none of this stuff should be too new, but Fusarium graminearum causes the tombstone scab. There's no correlation between DON or vomitoxin levels in your seed and percent infection. And there's also no correlation between an elevator's visual fusarium count and a plated test that we do in the lab. So what we've done this year is we've kind of gone in and broken out the Fusarium graminearum average infection that we're seeing based on crop district. So hopefully this will kind of give you a better understanding of what could be happening in your specific area. So I'll just kind of go through the slides and leave them up there for a little bit so you can have a look at what's happening. So you can see we kind of got the 5-year average of what we're seeing in the different areas. 2022, 2023, that would be based off samples that we would have received in the lab after August 1st this year. So mostly the 2022 crop. Oh, it's good. There we go. So as you can see from those previous slides, there still is some graminearum infection, nothing at levels that couldn't be managed with seed treatments and things like that. So now we kind of broke up the total fusarium again by crop district, And then also kind of the range that we're seeing, just so you know, there is samples that are, you know, at the very low end with zero disease, but then we are seeing samples coming up there that have that total fusarium a little bit higher than what it was last year. Things to pay attention to and starting to need seed treatment and things like that. And just a little messaging around how to manage that graminearum if it is starting to come back up. Obviously, seed lots with low level of disease is the best way to start. Utilization of seed treatments, fungicide applications, the increase of seeding rates to reduce the number of tillers to make fungicide application a little easier to stage, and then the use of the seed varieties that they're breeding now that have that resistance to disease. And germination. So this is where the really good news is happening, is that the germination rates in the lab this year are generally good to very good. As you'll see in the next couple slides, I think the averages are probably the highest that they've been in the last 5 years, which is nice to see. So this is for wheat. So these germinations are based on province-wide samples. We do have the specific crop district data available at the lab. If you're interested for your area, you can always phone in and I can go over it with you. But these would be kind of across the province. So this year for wheat, you know, our average germination is 95%, which is awesome. The vigor is 92, which is great to see. And we're only at 1.5% of samples tested in the lab below that 85% germ, and that's kind of what we use as a good cutoff. And it was a 2.5% last year at this time for wheat. So wheat did well last year, and it's looking really good this year as well. Same for durum. You know, we have a nice high germ percentage of 93%. Vigor is nice and high as well, and only 3% of samples tested in the lab have that below 85% germ. Barley, nice germ is 95.5% with a 91.8 vigor average, which is really nice to see. We've noticed a large reduction in the number of samples this year that are below that 85%. I think last year it was 13%, and this year it's only 3%. So that's good to see. So barley is in good shape. Oats are doing well. Average germ, I think it's the highest that it's been since I've been at Discovery, and that's about 13 years. 96.7, 93.1 vigor, and only 2% of samples are below 85. And this is the biggest thing that we're noticing in the lab this year is with the field pea germs. They're back up to a nice level. Our average germ is 90 this year compared to 81.5 last year. Vigor's holding strong to 88.6 versus 78 last year. And only 13% of the samples are below 85% this year. And last year at this time, that was 43. So much better conditions for the field peas this year. Most of the germs that we would have done on this would have been on pre-cleaned samples though. So just another note that since it was dry in a lot of the pea production areas, post-cleaning, we do expect those germs to drop a little bit. We're hoping to not see the dramatic drops that we saw last year. And lentils, again, very good, 96.6% with a 91.4% vigor. 0.8% of samples are below that 85%, so lentils are in very good shape as well. And flax, so again, higher germ, 88, nice tight vigor at 84. 17% samples are less than 85, but that's down from almost 30% last year. So flax is looking really good as well. Some other things that we do, just to, I know you always hear about this, but things for quality on your farm or in your area is the clubroot testing. The earlier you can detect it in your area or on any of your land, the better the management strategy is. We do the quantitative soil test. So you actually know the spores per gram, which helps for management practices. And some notes of questions and things that we've been asked about in the lab, new services that we are offering. Things like that. So group 11 resistance in peas and lentils has been on the rise. So we do have molecular tests to determine whether either in plant material or on your seed the disease that's present is resistant to the group 11s, and we can do that for both peas and lentils. And one we've been getting a lot of calls about this year is that bacterial leaf streak. So there has been confirmed fields of it in Saskatchewan in a few different areas. And we do have a test that can identify the bacterial pathivars that cause it, and that can be done either on plant tissue. It's also transmitted on seed lots. So we do have a seed test available as well for it. So if you would like any more information about that or anything like that, you can just call into the lab, talk to me. I can walk you through the procedures, the information that it gives you, and that sort of thing. So that's all I had. Again, big thank you to everyone in this room, because you guys do what you do, you allow us to do what we do, and we really appreciate all of the samples and being involved in the industry. So thank you guys very, very much for having me out. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to help. For like Ascochyta and Anthracnose, the fungicide resistance. What was group 11 resistance? Awesome. Well, thank you again.
All right, thanks again, Sandy, for presenting that. And if you have any other further questions, just forward them to Sandy or Lori, and they'll get to the appropriate place.